Welcome to Review Monster 101. This review includes 46 multiple-choice questions to review for Unit 3 of the Common 9-unit series to prepare for the AP Psychology exam. After each question, I will offer a brief explanation. For reviews of the other 8 units, please subscribe. It helps me out and allows me to make these freely available review materials. Let's begin. 1. Which step of sensation involves converting a stimulus into neural impulses? A. Reception. B. Transduction. C. Transmission. B. Transduction. Transduction is the step in sensation that converts a stimulus into neural impulses. 2. What process refers to the personal interpretation of sensory information? A. Sensation. B. Perception. C. Transmission. B. Perception. Perception refers to the personal interpretation of sensory inputs. 3. What term describes the minimum stimulus required to be detectable by a person? A. Top-down processing. B. Absolute threshold. C. Sensory adaptation. B. Absolute threshold. The absolute threshold is the minimum stimulus required to be detectable by an individual. 4. Which type of processing is influenced by biases and past experiences? A. Top-down processing. B. Bottom-up processing. C. Sensory adaptation. A. Top-down processing. Top-down processing is influenced by biases and past experiences in interpreting perceptions. 5. What term refers to stimuli that are just in the brain and are below the threshold of detection? A. Absolute threshold. B. Subliminal stimuli. C. Difference threshold. B. Subliminal stimuli. Subliminal stimuli are just in the brain and are below the threshold of detection. 6. What concept refers to the smallest difference in stimuli required for detection? A. Absolute threshold. B. Subliminal stimuli. C. Difference threshold. C. Difference threshold. Difference threshold, known as Weber's law or just noticeable difference, is the smallest change in stimuli necessary for detection. 7. Which theory examines whether or not we detect a stimulus and considers psychological factors? A. Absolute threshold theory. B. Subliminal stimuli theory. C. Signal detection theory. C. Signal detection theory. Signal detection theory explores whether or not we detect a stimulus, considering psychological factors that affect perception. 8. What term describes our tendency to overlook changes in our environment? A. Sensory adaptation. B. Perceptual sets. C. Change blindness. C. Change blindness. Change blindness refers to the tendency to overlook changes in our environment. 9. What phenomenon demonstrates our ability to focus on a specific input, such as hearing our name in a crowded room? A. Selective attention. B. Selective inattention. C. Cocktail party effect. A. Selective attention. The cocktail party effect illustrates selective attention, focusing on a specific input amid distractions. 10. What concept refers to our failure to notice changes in our visual field? A. Sensory adaptation. B. Perceptual sets. C. Change blindness. C. Change blindness. Change blindness describes our inability to notice changes in our visual field. 11. Which cells on the retina are responsible for color and detailed vision? A. Rods. B. Cones. C. Ganglion cells. B. Cones. Cones on the retina are responsible for color and detailed vision. 12. What theory of color vision proposes that red, green, and blue cones enable color perception? A. Trichromatic theory. B. Opponent processing theory. C. Phi phenomenon. A. Trichromatic theory. The trichromatic theory suggests that red, green, and blue cones enable color perception. 13. What is color blindness primarily associated with in terms of cone malfunction? A. Rods. B. Bipolar cells. C. Cones. C. Cones. Color blindness often occurs due to malfunctioning cones, typically the absence of one cone type. 14. According to the opponent processing theory, which colors are neurologically processed as opposites? A. Red versus blue. B. White versus black. C. Red versus green. C. Red versus green. Opponent processing theory suggests neural processing of opposite colors like red versus green. 15. What phenomenon refers to the perception of movement in a series of still images? A. Figure ground perception. B. Phi phenomenon. C. Parallel processing. B. Phi phenomenon. The Phi phenomenon explains the perception of movement in a series of still images. 16. Which theory suggests that the brain processes multiple visual aspects simultaneously? A. Trichromatic theory. B. Opponent processing theory. C. Parallel processing. C. Parallel processing. Parallel processing is the theory that the brain processes multiple visual aspects concurrently. 17. In the context of light, what does black indicate? A. Absorption of all light. B. Reflection of all light. C. Absence of light waves. A. Absorption of all light. Black signifies the absorption of all light and the absence of light waves. 18. What concept denotes the perception of foreground versus background in visual scenes? A. Parallel processing. B. Grouping. C. Figure ground perception. C. Figure ground perception. Figure ground perception describes the distinction between foreground and background in visual scenes. 19. Which Gestalt principle involves grouping elements that are close to each other? A. Similarity. B. Proximity. C. Continuity. B. Proximity. Proximity is the Gestalt principle that involves grouping elements that are close to each other. 20. Which Gestalt principle involves filling in gaps to perceive a whole object? A. Closure. B. Continuity. C. Similarity. A. Closure. Closure is the Gestalt principle involving filling in gaps to perceive a whole object. 21. Which cue requires both eyes to perceive depth in a scene? A. Relative size. B. Retinal disparity. C. Interposition. B. Retinal disparity. Retinal disparity necessitates both eyes to perceive depth differences due to the eye's slightly different viewpoints. 22. What monocular cue involves objects blocking the view of others? A. Relative motion. B. Interposition. C. Linear perspective. B. Interposition. Interposition, also known as blocking, occurs when one object blocks the view of another, providing depth cues. 23. Which depth cue involves parallel lines appearing to converge as they move away from the viewer? A. Relative height. B. Relative motion. C. Linear perspective. C. Linear perspective. Linear perspective is the monocular cue where parallel lines converge with distance. 24. What term describes the perception of an object's color despite variations in surrounding lighting? A. Brightness, constancy. B. Color, constancy. C. Shape, constancy. B. Color constancy. Color constancy refers to the perception of an object's color despite changes in the lighting conditions or surroundings. 25. Which cue relies on our eyes converging or moving together in the same direction? A. Convergence. B. Shading. C. Retinal disparity. A. Convergence. Convergence involves the eyes moving together in the same direction to perceive depth. 26. Which constancy allows us to perceive an object's actual shape despite changes in its appearance due to perspective? A. Brightness, constancy. B. Shape, constancy. C. Size, constancy. B. Shape, constancy. Shape constancy enables us to perceive an object's actual shape despite alterations due to varying perspectives. 27. What cue involves the perception of relative differences in brightness regardless of the actual light levels? A. Bright constancy. B. Relative motion. C. Relative size. A. Brightness constancy. Brightness constancy refers to the perception of relative differences in brightness even when actual light levels vary. 28. Which monocular cue involves distant objects appearing smaller than closer ones? A. Shading. B. Relative motion. C. Relative size. C. Relative size. Relative size is the monocular cue where distant objects appear smaller than closer ones. 29. What term describes the perception that objects maintain a consistent size despite changes in their retinal images? A. Size, constancy. B. Color, constancy. C. Brightness, constancy. A. Size constancy. Size constancy allows us to perceive objects as maintaining a consistent size despite changes in their retinal images. 30. Which cue involves the perception of depth based on the relative position of objects in the visual field? A. Relative motion. B. Relative height. C. Vertical disparity. B. Relative height. Relative height involves perceiving depth based on the relative position of objects in the visual field. 31. What part of the ear contains the hammer, anvil, and stirrup bones that amplify sound? A. Outer ear. B. Middle ear. C. Inner ear. B. Middle ear. The middle ear contains the hammer, anvil, and stirrup bones, responsible for amplifying sound. 32. Which area of the ear houses the cochlea and its hair cells, serving as the receptors for sound? A. Outer ear. B. Middle ear. C. Inner ear. C. Inner ear. The inner ear, particularly the cochlea with its hair cells, acts as the receptor for sound signals. 33. What is responsible for auditory localization, determining the source of sounds based on volume, timing, and phase? A. Basilar membrane. B. Hair cells. C. Characteristics of sound waves. A. Basilar membrane. Auditory localization, determining sound sources, depends on various factors like volume, timing, and phase. 34. Which part of sound waves primarily affects the perception of volume? A. Wavelength. B. Frequency. C. Wave amplitude. C. Wave amplitude. Wave amplitude influences the volume of sound perceived. 35. Which theory explains that high-pitched sounds are detected based on where they hit the basilar membrane? A. Place theory. B. Frequency theory. C. Volley principle. A. Place theory. Place theory suggests that high-pitched sounds are detected based on their location of contact on the basilar membrane. 36. What type of deafness results from damage to the bones of the ear and can sometimes be corrected with implants? A. Conduction deafness. B. Nerve deafness. C. Sensorineural deafness. A. Conduction deafness. Conduction deafness results from bone damage in the ear, which can sometimes be corrected with implants. 37. What theory proposes that hair cells send signals faster in response to higher sound frequencies? A. Place theory. B. Frequency theory. C. Volley principle. B. Frequency theory. Frequency theory suggests that hair cells send signals faster in response to higher sound frequencies. 38. Which type of deafness occurs due to nerve damage, resulting in the absence of signals? A. Conduction deafness. B. Nerve deafness. C. Sensorineural deafness. B. Nerve deafness. Nerve deafness occurs due to nerve damage, leading to the absence of signals. 39. What senses involve touch, pressure, pain, temperature, and texture? A. Smell. B. Taste. C. Touch. C. Touch. Touch involves various sensations such as touch, pressure, pain, temperature, and texture. 40. Which sense allows signals to bypass the spinal cord and directly reach the brain? A. Taste. B. Smell. C. Touch. B. Smell. Smell is the sense where olfactory signals bypass the spinal cord and directly reach the brain. 41. Which of the following best defines synesthesia? A. The inability to sense multiple stimuli. B. When one sense triggers another. C. The heightened sense of smell. B. When one sense triggers another. Synesthesia refers to one sense triggering another unrelated sense. 42. What is an example of synesthesia? A. Hearing a loud noise and feeling a physical pain. B. Seeing the color red and sensing the smell of roses. C. Feeling a breeze and smelling fresh air. B. Seeing the color red and sensing the smell of roses. An example of synesthesia could be seeing the color red and experiencing the smell of roses. 43. What does the kinesthetic sense primarily involve? A. Sense of balance. B. Ability to sense movement. C. Ability to sense temperature. B. Ability to sense movement. The kinesthetic sense relates to the ability to sense movement without needing to see. 44. Which example best illustrates the kinesthetic sense? A. Feeling hungry when seeing food. B. Walking without having to look at one's legs. C. Sensing the temperature change when entering a room. B. Walking without having to look at one's legs. The kinesthetic sense allows individuals to walk without the need to visually monitor their legs. 45. What does the vestibular sense primarily relate to? A. Vision. B. Hearing. C. Balance and gravity. C. Balance and gravity. The vestibular sense is associated with maintaining balance and orientation relative to gravity. 46. Which body parts contribute to the vestibular sense? A. Ears. B. Eyes. C. Nose. A. Ears. The fluid in the ears, particularly the vestibular sacs and semicircular canals, contribute to the vestibular sense and help maintain balance. That concludes our review of Unit 3 of the Common 9 unit series for the AP Psychology exam. Please subscribe for more reviews on for AP Psychology and other AP courses. Good luck with your preparations and studies. I am confident you will do great.